It's the state of the dungeon. It's a video that Rob does about his games. Yeah! Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I am Rob, and I am here for another State of the Dungeon address. This for the game that took place on the 12th of August, 2021. The game is Mighty Protectors, and we were down 2 players. We were missing the player of Rook, and we were missing the player of Muscles, which really ground things to a halt. I can sum this up very quickly, but I'll at least give it the credit that it's due. The players kind of lapsed into what players often can do. Basically bogged down in an entire night, seemingly, of just talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. It wasn't that people got distracted and went about other things. It was talking about the game, but it was making endless theories and voicing their thoughts on how the whole thing worked. Of course, right now they're in the situation of trying to deal with taking care of the King Arthur incident. With King Arthur, his knights, and Merlin coming back in England, demanding to be reinstated as king again so that he can lead England to glory again. And the group got the 2 challenges against 2 of the knights of Arthur, and both of them lost. So they've gauged the power levels, and these guys are not jokes. They are for show. They are not for show. And knowing that, the group was somewhat taken aback. They pulled together what they've learned. That took a little bit. They toyed around with the Astral Dragon, found out that it is a beast. It is there to guard and occasionally get up and fly through the town and energize itself somehow. There was some research done by Bulwark. He checked security cameras and found out that many people in the town were suffering from a kind of a malaise as the dragon went by. Just momentary, nobody died, some people just got a little dizzy, a little vertigo, and the dragon returns back to the castle. As I said, Cygos checked on the dragon is a beast. Sentinel decided that he was going to go to Scotland Yard and he was going to try to find out if there was any kind of a visual match for the face of Lancelot, who he saw out of his armor when he wrestled with Bulwark. And what did he find? Found a perfect match, actually. But the problem was the perfect match was a divorced author in Wales. But he has super speed, so he ran over to go and talk to him. He talked to him. The guy is kind of a shut-in. His house is just full of supplies that a person might need through the course of a day and weeks and possibly even months. And he, to Sentinel, seemed normal. He just didn't want to have any trouble. He's kind of a security nut. All of his rooms in his house, except his bathroom, are security cameraed. And he turned over footage willingly to Sentinel without any real pretense of, trying to stop him or anything like that. Just here, take what you want and go. So he did. They perused it a bit. It turns out that the writing that he did was fantasy and historical romance novels, the smutty kind, and that he was semi-popular. But that kind of took Cygos, and she started reading his stuff, it's kind of hot. Although not, doesn't travel into the areas of, pornography or anything, but it's romance novels. It's titillating. So she was reading that, and then she went online and tried to read up on Arthurian legends because that's not her area of specialty. Unfortunately, she didn't roll well, so she ended up in a collection of Hollywood Arthurian legend, which might not be very helpful, honestly. Bulwark dithered with his gadgets and retooled them so that he'd have his healing effect again. He managed. So he healed. He was recovered pretty well with his gadgets, and Psyghost was she decided that when the dragon took off, she would try to infiltrate the castle in her psychic form in astral space, and she ran afoul of Merlin. Merlin was not receptive to her entry. Told her to leave. She wanted to talk. He attempted to banish her. She flew away. He burned her with psychic fire, which actually caused her to burn in the real world. She was knocked down to 1 point away from death, or at least unconsciousness. So 3rd-degree burns. Pretty bad stuff. So that's what drove Bulwark to sacrifice his gadgets and retool them to reinvent them for his healing bracelet that allows him to channel his power and use a healing ability, which he did. It's time-consuming, not the kind of thing you want to use in the middle of a battle, but it's undoubtedly it can bring people back to full health relatively painlessly for him. So, he did that. They talked some more. Talked. They felt stymied. They felt like they couldn't do anything. Clearly, without Muscles and Rook, the frontal assault wasn't really on. Which I think they were kind of itching for a little bit. Although they don't know a great deal yet about the nature of the armor that their foes might have, or the other abilities that the other knights might be able to demonstrate. They don't know a lot. They just wanted to get in and try to deal with the situation. And news came in that the British were actually sending in their 3rd army. So they're going to force a solution to this if the group doesn't do anything, which might lead to a lot of bloodshed, depending on how powerful these gifted are, posing as King Arthur, Gawain, Galahad, Lancelot, and Merlin. So, at least that's their assumption. So what do? They finally called Veronica. Veronica's like, have you taken care of the situation yet? And they're like, no, we don't know what to do. We've got this much. We have suspicions. We have theories. And she's like, all right, what's the problem? Well, there's magical wards over the castle. Number 1, we can't seem to get there. We're always detected. And number 2, even intangibly, it doesn't seem like we can get through their wall. Okay. Then we will send somebody who knows about magic to help you out. What next? Well, we're planning on possibly having to do an assault. Okay, who do you want? Well, we like Doorman. He could get us in easily. Okay, Doorman's coming. What else? If you're planning on a fight, I'll send Extra Crispy, too. He's been itching for a fight. Okay, Extra Crispy they know is good. With his flame powers, he could be a real help. They also reported that the ninja has not been seen since Sentinel went and brought him to Camelot. So she promised that she would send in some extra help. They described the fight against Lancelot and that he's a supremely skilled combatant, and it just so happens that Veronica knows somebody who might be able to match up with him and could go the distance with even Lancelot. So she's sending him someone else, and to top it all off, she's also contracted Hank the lawyer, also as the group has dubbed him Devil's Advocate, to come and help them out in what's going on. They're thinking that maybe he might be able to pop into one of their armors and steal the armor. Might make an interesting difference. Excuse me. But will it? We don't know. honestly, the talking took so long, it took most of the night. By the time the night was getting really ready to wrap up with only a half an hour left before closing time, it just wasn't worth starting the assault, especially since Muscles and Rook weren't there. So we'll get a fresh start, maybe a fresh perspective the next time we play. And we'll get some real action and maybe some superhero battling, maybe some good role play. We'll see how it goes. So, until next time, that has been the State of the Dungeon address. Again, we'll see what happens 2 weeks. Thank you. I'm Rob. Hopefully you were entertained by this and the prospects. And don't fret too much. It's often good in a session with a good narrative plot and decently developed characters to have nights where there's role-playing and there's actually spending time working together, putting their heads together to try to solve a problem. So it wasn't necessarily a wasted night. Some things did get done, and we'll see how it goes forward from there. So, thank you, and farewell.